This is the GWM P-Series Limited Edition, the Chinese automaker's brand new bakkie in the luxury segment. Now, word on the street has it that the guys from Ford and Toyota get together on Fridays for drinks to discuss this newcomer, because not only is it tech-laden, but it's actually very good looking and it's great value for money. So should they be worried? Well, let's find out. Now let's talk about styling, because this is quite an attractive car, but it's also a behemoth of a car. Look at this big grille. I mean, we've never seen a bigger grille than this in any bakkie. What's also quite big is this badge over here that quite resembles a location pin drop. I mean, do you see it? Because I definitely do. The big grille is flanked by daytime running lights that you do find across the P-Series range. What differentiates the P-Series Limited Edition is a few things, and starting with the bumper over here, which is made out of steel, and I do think it does give you a better approach when you are off-roading, just in terms of taking on those angles. Coming over to the side, you have these all-terrain 18-inch wheels. They blacked out, and I think they really look mean, and I'll tell you why. Because they have some red calipers. Now that for me makes it look a bit more sporty and rugged. You also get the steel side step, and of course you have roof rails over on the top. Keeping with the beefiness and robustness of the car, they've also given you these flared flanks over here. Over in the rear, you also get the steel rear bumper. But what's pretty cool though is that they've given you an easier loading bay step. Check this out. All you do is open here, push this button, it pops out, and you're able to get on and load whatever you need. I think that is pretty impressive. As much as it is an attractive car outside, inside is quite pleasant to be as well. You have such plush materials all around. I mean, look at these leather seats with these beige trimmings as well. You have a stitch here, of course it is kilted, but the dashboard also features some soft touch materials as well as the side panels. Over in the dash area, you do find a bit of those plasticky materials that are a smidgen cheap looking, but I don't think it should really bother anybody. I'm sure some people might like it. You also have a 4-spoke steering wheel, which is also covered in leather. It's quite huge, but as I did say, it is a big car, so not quite uncommon. Over in the middle, you have your gear knob over here that is actually quite attractive. I like how it fits in your hand. Not too bulky, it's just the right size. It is flanked by some silver materials as well, of course plastic. It actually does look okay. You do have enough space over here for your bits and bobs to save, and a rotary dial for all your driving modes. Now this bakkie is loaded with all the niceties that you could ever want. It's got a wireless charging pad as well as a pair of charging ports, but it also has a 360 camera as well as heated seats. You also get a 17-inch digital screen that's quite good to navigate, great graphics, but also is compatible with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So the P-Series Limited Edition retains its same 2-liter turbo diesel engine, and it pushes out 120 kilowatts and 400 Newton meters of torque. I do feel that it offers quite a pleasant drive and enough torque, but there is a little bit of that turbo lag that you do experience coming from that engine. But it offers quite a pleasant drive. I cannot fault it at all. It holds the corners quite well. I cannot be mad at it. Thank you to the all-terrain wheels. I like being in it. It's big, it looks good, and I think a lot of people are giving me attention on the road. I do love my attention. The steering wheel feels good. I feel like it's a bit too soft, not enough feedback coming from it, which is not a comfortable feeling for me. Another thing that's not comfortable is the intrusiveness of the lane keep assist. Sadly, you cannot change that on the steering wheel. I mean, you've got your cruise control button and everything, but it would be so nice to just, at a click of a button, switch off that lane keep assist. You actually have to go inside the system in embedded menus to switch that off. But overall, it drives pleasantly. I really don't have big issues with it. I think I'm actually nitpicking. There's not much to complain about. So I have entered a gravel road. The suspension feels, it's good. I mean, it's not stiff, but it's not as supple as I felt in most recently the Ford Ranger. I feel like the all-terrain wheels should at least absorb some of those bumps. So, I wonder how it will do on a real off-roading course. I mean, this is light gravel. So after spending time in the P-Series Limited Edition, I can say that it really is a good car and I quite enjoyed it. It looks good, it's rugged, and it just gives you enough power. It's a family car filled with everything that you might need and everything that you might even pay extra for if you're going to the other competitors. And talking about the competitors, well, should they be worried? I think if you're looking for something a little bit different out of that comfort zone, then I think this might be the car for you.
Welcome back to Ignition GT. When the P-Series was introduced to South Africa back in 2020, its offering was somewhat unique, bigger than most bakkie rivals, but fitted with a small capacity engine and an almost car-like interior. Fast forward nearly 3 years later, and the competition have caught up. So how does the GWM product stack up? We'll start with Murali.
Yeah, I think the P-Series continues to do well for what it is. They've offered incredible value, and I think that's where they've closed that gap, right? Consumers are obviously strong now from an economic perspective, and they're just looking for more value. And I think, GWM have done that well with the P-Series. And, you can't really get much at that price point, because most of the other competitors are a bit more of a stretch. So I think overall, great value for money on the P-Series.
True. At under 700,000 Rand for the top of the range spec, that's obviously a very good deal. But again, I asked myself, how did they convince these loyalists? Tell me, what do you think the psychology of that is? Because oftentimes we're proved wrong as journalists with cars like the P-Series.
So I have a slightly different take. The P-Series is a really, really good product. Like you said, it's got big loading space at the back. The interior is actually quite huge as well. There's a lot of space for the passengers. The tech is great. It feels like you're sitting inside an SUV actually, rather than a bakkie. The only things are the engine is quite small. So South Africans, we like our power. Anything under 120 kilowatts is not considered to be a serious bakkie in this market. So you need that power, and this vehicle, I think, is in need of power. The second thing is that, as much as people think that yes, it is great value, but the market hasn't necessarily shifted. I mean, if you look at recent sales figures, geez, the Hilux is still killing it. I mean, they're selling over 3,000 units a month of that thing. The second biggest seller in that segment is still the Ranger, with over 2,000 units. The third biggest seller is the D-Max, with over 1,600 units. So the P-Series is still not cracking that top three, even the top five, in fact.
Do you not think that perhaps there's a clientele out there that is not a bakkie audience traditionally, and now that there's a bakkie that they can afford, you do the jump?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, consumers are still trying to see whether it's going to hold its value, whether it's got that longevity, that some of the other brands are known for. And I think it'll take time to kind of convince that market to kind of get in. And I agree with Tammy on the power output as well. I mean, 120 kilowatts in a bakkie is not ideal, but again, at that price point, you need to compromise on something or the other. So you're still getting a lot. The compromise is you're not getting all the power, but then you're also saving a chunk of money as well.
That's true. That's true. And with this limited model, as we know, they've made some tweaks, especially when it comes to the 4x4 setting. So it's got a bit more off-road prowess. I don't know if you guys have actually gotten the opportunity to drive these cars off-road. And if you have, how did you find it? And what changes have they actually made to this limited?
Yeah, I've driven it off-road, and it's quite capable, actually. This one is even more capable, especially with those grabber tires, which, you know, make a huge difference off-road. Although on-road, they are a little bit on the uncomfortable side, a little bit bumpy. That 8-speed auto is a gem, actually. It works very well with the engine. I really, really like it. It accesses the torque in almost any band, basically. And I like the styling, you know, it's a really cool looking car, you know, with the bull bars, with the sports bars at the back, the black wheels, it looks fantastic.
Okay, last question with regards to bakkies now. In that space, under 700,000 Rand, where's your money going? Because you do have other options, you do have Mahindra options out there. So, you know, it's still quite a competitive market, even in that tier. Well, where are you guys spending your money?
Well, you mentioned Mahindra. I really like the pickup.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks very odd, you know, it looks sideways, but I really like it. Yeah. And it does so much for so little. It's very good value for money.
Very interesting. Morale?
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with the P-Series, to be honest with you. The look of the vehicle, I like the ruggedness of it, the technology in it, it's comfortable, and I think it's just got a good, well-rounded package.
Well, guys, you have answered all my questions. I am out of questions.